Don't mind me, just enjoying the, culture of the region. Hello everyone, Artemu the Violet Wizard here, and today we're continuing the Pokémon SoulSilver Nuzlocke. Last time, we checked out a lot of the sites around Ecruteak City and made our way to Olivine City to check out some of the stuff over there, learning that the Pokémon in charge of the lighthouse has fallen ill and we need to go get medicine for it. However, in order to be able to accomplish that mission, we first need to beat the gym leader of Ecruteak City, so that we can cross the sea and acquire that medicine. So that is going to be the main goal of this session, and hopefully we're not going to have too much trouble with that. Just want to quickly show the team that we're going to be using in this battle. Make sure to train everyone up to at least level 25 for this, and the team is looking pretty good, honestly. We definitely got a lot of strong hitters in here, both some older Pokemon with Sun and Snorkel, and a few of the newer faces that have joined us recently. So hopefully this team is going to be able to pull through here. Also wanted to focus a lot on our type diversity, which is why some of the guys that are starting to hang behind a bit, like Snorkel in terms of just power, are still going to be useful here with their typing. Oh, it seems like Snorkel is an item for us. So we got a yellow flower. Alright. So yeah, I really haven't focused too much on this, but talking with your Pokemon is a way that they can pick up, like, things for the fashion case, and just gives you a good feel for what that Pokemon is behaving like. So we can obviously see here that Snorkel likes this quite a bit. Alright. That said, I think we're about ready for this. We made sure all of our items are good. We probably could have picked up a few more supplies at the department store, but I think we're going to be pretty good here. Yeah, we got plenty of soda pop and even some Moo Moo milk when it comes to healing. And we don't really have any really good held items that would be really amazing here. Do want to say that in between stream sessions, I did cultivate a few berries that I felt would be useful. Mainly citrus berries, as those are going to be very helpful going forward. Alright, but I think our preparations are done, so let's go right in. Yo, champ of the making! The trainers here use ghost-type Pokemon at will! A ghost like a shade or a phantom. It won't do any good to use physical strength alone. That is normally what you would see here in the Ecruteak Gym, however this place is... well, I guess it's pretty consistent with our experiences with ghost-type gyms on the DS that have a darkness mechanic. So the main gimmick of this gym is that the area would be covered in darkness. That would obscure most of your vision, except for the light given off by a few light sources, like the candles being used by these mediums. And just kind of try to gauge where the path is in order to maneuver through here. Which is kind of like an expansion of the original concept of this gym back in Gold and Silver, where you had an invisible path that you just kind of had to guess where it was in order to make your way to the gym leader. Boy, you definitely have a lot of Pokemon here. This is normally a bad matchup, but you are very high level compared to this thing, so we're just gonna go ahead and use the Surf. That took you out. So yeah, I really don't know what it is with just the Generation 4 games having all these problems with the emulation. Especially when it comes to darkness, it seems. I do really like the effect in this gym when you're playing it on the original hardware. It looks really damn good. But yeah, I'm expecting things so far in the gym are going to be pretty good. Houndour would be a little scary because you're a fire type, but Scarab is easily equipped to handle this. Oh yeah, good work. I am quite pleased with the team we have managed to assemble at the moment. We got some pretty hard-hitting Pokemon right now, and while a few of them still need to evolve, they're honestly not that far off. Like, Snorkel, Sparkles, and all of them are going to be evolving in the level 30s, which we are steadily approaching. So, who knows, we may be seeing some new evolutions before we get to the next... Before we get to the next gym. We use only Ghost-type Pokemon. No normal-type attack can harm them. That would normally be true. Also love the irony here that the path is only getting less obstructed because of the way the emulator is running all this. Not sure of your way. Defeat me if you want a hint. Oh, you have a Togetic. That is quite a bit higher level than most of the things we have, but shouldn't be a problem for us, really. I'm definitely more of a fan of Togetic now that it actually got an evolution in the Generation 4 games. I really do like the Togepi line, one of my personal favorite Pokemon lines in general. And they definitely saw a lot of neat upgrades as time went on, between Togetic getting a new evolution, the whole evolution line gaining Fairy as a typing. It's just very nice to see. They're really good Pokemon, and who knows, someday I would really like to use them during one of our streams. It's probably not going to be for a while, especially with some of the games I'm eventually planning to stream. The Togepi line is sadly a little on the hard to acquire side. So probably be a while before we actually get to use one, even though I really want to. Hey, don't lick me! You think I am a popsicle? Well, I got some spice for ya! I really do like Munchlax too, just a big old teddy bear. Looks like he'd be very cuddly to hold, even though he's, like, very heavy. Alright, some of our guys got some status ailments, so let's just patch them up. We got Awakening for Snorkel, and then got some Paralyzed Heals for Sun. Something I definitely like to recommend in Nuzlocke runs, always make sure you have plenty of status healing items, because a status ailment could really screw you over in an important battle. Yeah, that is a thing I did notice while I was kind of looking at our team members' watcher, is that, yeah, a lot of our Pokemon just happen to have S names. I don't know, just, it sounds right, you know? I spent the spring with my Pokemon, then summer, autumn, and winter. Then spring came again. We have lived together for a long time. That line kind of makes a lot more sense when she originally uses Ghost-type Pokemon. I don't know, Celio's cool too. Last time I fought one of these, it was a little tricky because that thing had Ice Ball, and I assume this one has one too. So hopefully Sparkles can kill this thing really quickly. Ooh, here comes the Ice Ball. Yeah, that did a little bit of damage. We should be able to handle this thing before it, like, really built up in power. Kind of talking about this area and the trainers that inhabit this gym. Wow, you have Rough Skin? Really? That does help your tanking somewhat. For whatever reason, I'm not really as much of a fan of the medium sprites in this game, because if anyone's familiar with the original Gen 2 version of the medium sprites, they look really dang funny. And just how they look like they were being possessed by an evil spirit, just the whole look of them was so hilarious, and I'm sad that that concept didn't get translated to their Generation 4 incarnations. Yeah, just a little detail between the versions that I feel be interesting to talk about. There's a lot of version differences that I feel are very neat with regards to Generation 2 and the Generation 4 remakes. One thing I felt was really cool is that Gold and Silver both use exclusive sprites for the Pokemon in those games. And then when it came to releasing Crystal, a lot of Pokemon had their sprites redone, as that game also featured sprite animations for every Pokemon. So just very cool that every iteration of the Johto games during that generation had a completely different feel for every Pokemon in the roster. It's definitely very cool. Oh, Snorkel's learning Twister. That is a very low power dragon move, but it does give us the ability to make opponents flinch. That could be useful, especially if we encounter a dragon type going forward, which there probably will be a few. Ekans! Oh man, I've definitely gained a bit of a more appreciation for Ekans lately. Both with one character I used to have, and especially very recently in the Teal Mask DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The first shiny Pokemon I ran to in Kitakami was a shiny Ekans, so that was very fun to see. Yeah, definitely want to talk a bit more about my thoughts on Teal Mask in a little bit. Just want to focus on the gym battle right now, but yeah, I really had a blast playing through the Teal Mask DLC. It was very great. Alright, should be able to finish off this Dunsparce. I like how two of this trainer's Pokemon were serpents. It's kind of fun. But that is it for the trainers here. So this is one of the paths that is very interesting to try to go through in the darkness, because you have to backtrack somewhat in order to get on the right path. And at the very end, we have our gym leader here, Morty. Alright, let's heal up the team here, and we should be good to go. I guess we could top Scarab off. He took a bit of hits earlier during this gym. But yep, we managed to make it through here pretty well. I do not know how this gym is going to go. In the vanilla games, Morty has quite the formidable party, using all 3 members of the Ghastly line. And with a lot of the Pokemon that he used in that party, I can expect us to run into some very strong competition here. Hello, Xavier, made it just in time for the gym battle. What do you say, Sparkles? You here for this? Oh, she is very eager. Alright, before we start this, I feel like now would be a good opportunity to actually use these citrus berries that I had been growing in between sessions. These are definitely some useful berries, as when our Pokemon get hurt pretty badly, these berries will be able to restore 1/3 of their max HP. Which is definitely a nice upgrade from how they were in Generation 3, where they only healed 30 HP. Alright, I feel like we are ready to go. I'm a little nervous about this fight, but I mean, we had a pretty good time against Whitney, so maybe we'll have another good battle here. Only one way to find out. Let's do this. It's good of you to have come. Here in Ecruteak, Pokemon have long been revered. It's said that a rainbow-hued Pokemon will come down to appear before a truly powerful trainer. I believe that tale, so I have secretly trained here all my life. As a result, I can now see what others cannot. I see a shadow of the person who will make the Pokemon appear. I believe that person is me. You're going to help me reach that level. Definitely has a lot of respect for his nation's culture. So yep, we got the spirited spiritualist, Morty, leading off with a coughing. I know one particular thing this thing could do would be really nasty, so I'm gonna switch on over to Sahara, as I believe she'd be able to handle what this thing got. It has Water Veil. That is kind of interesting, prevents it from being burned. Not like that's gonna really be an option here. Except wants Sahara to dig, so we'll be able to take this thing out. Nice thing about having Pokemon have randomized abilities is I don't have to worry about some of the usual strategies these Pokemon will exhibit. So the case with Coughing, I can actually hit them with ground moves. Very nice. Alright, but that was only his first Pokemon. It's gonna get tougher from here. Murkrow. Yeah, that thing could be a bit of a pain to us. Murkrow are decently strong, even by this point in the game. So this thing could give us a bit of trouble. Oh, it also has Nightshade, which does set damage. Kinda nasty. Sparkle should be good just to go with the Spark. It should do some considerable damage to this Corvid. Alright, there's our Citrus Berry in action. Come on, Sparkles, you got this. Quaff the Raven, you're dead. Haha, very good. Alright, what do we got next? Swalot. Okay, and judging from that level, that is going to be your ace. This could be interesting. Gonna start off by leering you to lower your defense a bit. I'm not too worried about Swalot, because at this point I don't think it's gonna have really strong attacks here. Okay. Alright, I feel like for this one, we're gonna settle on Sahara. Don't know what else this thing could have in its moveset. Wow, Poison Point, that is pretty fitting for you, actually. So what I'm hoping here, let's put you to sleep with Yawn, which is kind of ironic given that the whole deal with Morty's Gengar is that it would put you to sleep with Hypnosis. So just giving him a taste of his own tactics here is pretty funny. This thing is buffing itself up with Amnesia, which would make it more defensive against special moves. However, Sahara's a physical attacker, so we should be pretty good here. Swalot's going to sleep, which will put it out of action for a few turns. And we should be good here. Oh, that is beautiful. Alright, restored a bit of health with its berry. So yeah, that leer I did with Sparkles really did help us out here, weakening this thing just enough that Sahara can two-hit KO it. Especially nice to see, because Swalot is a bit of a tanky Pokemon. There we go, and a critical hit too. Good work, Sahara. Ooh, we got poisoned. It's okay, girl, we'll heal you up at the center. But we got one more Pokemon to fight, and it's probably not going to be too bad, given what we've seen so far. Pachirisu! No, it's not over yet. Not yet. I still believe we can do this. I'm a little concerned about us doing this, considering that we're poisoned right now, but yeah, we should be fine. We'll use up our Citrus Berry to heal a bit of that damage, and there really should not be anything else this Pachirisu can do to us. One more hit should take you out. And there we go. The world champion has fallen. And that's it for Morty. How is this possible? We practically swept him with our hippopotamus, so that is pretty cool. I don't think our potentials are so different, but you seem to have something more than that. So be it. This badge is yours. You received the Fog Badge from Morty. Thank you, Sparkles and Sahara. You two really pulled through here. By having the Fog Badge, Pokemon up to level 50, including traded Pokemon, will obey you. Also, Pokemon will be able to use Surf. Here's another thing. I want you to have this too. You get TM30, which is going to be a real good move. It's Shadow Ball. It causes damage and may reduce special defense. Use it if it appeals to you. Shadow Ball is a really good attack. It's an 80 base power ghost type move that can be taught to a lot of Pokemon, not just ghost types. It is easily up there with one of my favorite moves in the entire series. It's so good. Hi, July, how are you? It's got another item from our mother. Very nice. We'll go check on that. Which also reminded me, in between sessions, I got a call from my mother about an item that she sent us. And when I went to check it, it turned out to be a silk scarf, which is a pretty nice item. You can only get the silk scarf by this manner, so that's why I definitely recommend having your mother save money for you. It's a nice held item. Basically, the Miracle Seed, only it boosts the power of normal type attacks. Oh man, that gym battle went very well. Sahara, goddamn, you basically carried us through all of those battles. You were incredible. Another reason why I'm just such a big fan of the Hippopotas line. They're real good. Now, with all that taken care of, I want to change up the team a bit for what we are going to be doing in this session. Also, just want to show off that Cookie, our Pidgey, is now evolved into a Pidgeotto, so we can knock that Pokemon off of our list of encounters. Alright, so what I want to do now that we have beaten the Ecruteak Gym is we now have the ability to use Surf on the field, which is going to unlock so much for us to be able to do on this adventure. So we're going to be doing what I consider the Surfing Grand Tour. We're going to be retracing our steps to all the places that we have already visited on our journey and seeing what we can now obtain with our new HM moves. Alright, so for that, we're going to need to change up the team a bit. For one thing, want to bring in... Yep, we'll bring in Squeaks as one of our HM users here. Sahara, you could definitely take a break given everything that you have been through in this session. And then, also wanted to bring Charlotte in. Yep, still using our little Spooter. As you can see from the art I have on the left side of the stream here, I definitely had a lot of fun drawing these teammates in their newly evolved forms. Especially in the case of Charlotte, with adding a few personal touches to her design in order to invoke some certain things, given that she was the Pokemon we hatched from that one egg all that time ago. So I feel like that will be very fitting for what's going to be happening going forward. But with that taken care of, there is one thing that I want to do in Ecruteak City before we go any farther. Look at how we're going to arrange our party for this. Squeaks can take the lead. And... yep, that should be good. Alright, so in the last session, we acquired the Good Rod, which allows us to catch a lot more Pokemon in areas that we can fish from. And, as it turns out, I have not caught anything in Ecruteak City. So I wanted to fish something up in this pond and see what we could potentially get here. Bronzor? Alright, that's kind of funny considering we actually got your evolution in one of the previous moments of this stream series. We'll go ahead and soften you up a bit with Squeaks. This is definitely a pretty useful Pokemon for us. As I said before, we do have a Bronzong, so encountering a Bronzor here really isn't that amazing, but still nice to knock it off our potential encounter list. But yeah, Bronzor, I could definitely see being very useful in a Nuzlocke run. This thing is honestly really good. It is a Steel Psychic type, meaning in this game, it only has 2 weaknesses, to Fire and Ground. And if you're able to cover those weaknesses with your team members, this thing is basically able to wall anything you send it out against. Along with that, besides its Steel and Psychic stab attacks, it learns a lot of support moves. So it can really help to buff the team, it can debuff and inflict statuses on opponents. It is a really good teammate. Alright, for you, there is a certain name I always tend to give to my Bronzor whenever I catch them. So we're gonna call you Roram. It's mirror spelled backwards. Alright, so with that, we have knocked Bronzor off our encounter list, which is obviously good considering what we already had. And for you, we get Pasho Berries. Yeah, but it's nice to get a few more type resistance berries. Alright, let's go check on our latest catch. For the record, we're probably not going to catch too many new Pokemon in this session, considering that we're going to be backtracking to areas we've already been. But you got Honey Gather. That is pretty dang useless. And also you have Naughty, which is not really the best nature for you, because that does drop one of your defensive stats. So yeah, kind of leaning more to Kenya when it comes to what we can do with one of these Pokemon. For the record, main reason I'm not using our Bronzong at the moment, just because I feel it's kind of cheap considering that we were gifted this thing and we didn't really catch it in the wild. So, kind of holding off on potentially using this Pokemon until a little bit later. Like around the time we'd normally be able to evolve Bronzor into Bronzong, I feel. Then we might add it to our party, because yeah, it's really good. Alright, so with that taken care of, we should be all set to move out on our main objective here. Oh, we gotta wake up Squeaks. Hey Nurse Joy, you got any smelling salts or whatever? Our rat's a little tuckered out. There we go. Alright, we now have the ability to surf, so it is time to begin the Surfing Grand Tour. But first, let's go pick some apricorns. Also be nice to check on things in Azalea Town and pick up some of the Pokeballs that I had left with Kurt in order to make. So it'll be good to take care of that while we're doing all this. Yeah, I remember this part being a little on the dull side when I originally did this whole Surfing Grand Tour thing back in my original Gold streams. But I think it's going to be pretty fine in this series because, well, all the Pokemon we're going to be encountering are not normally what you'd encounter in the Johto region. And along with that, it's just going to be little... I don't know, with the Nuzlocke rules in place, it's also going to make backtracking into these areas and getting to see some of the new stuff around here a little more interesting, you know? So there is some water over here by the ruins of Alf. And which will... No, Cameron's over here. So why don't we take a picture with our party? So everyone can get to enjoy the ruins. Aw, look at us. Thanks for that, bud. Just looking around here, the southern part of the ruins of Alf, we can surf across here to get to some exclusive ruins we couldn't access before. And also be a good idea to have our item finder. Yeah, some stuff up there that we can't get to yet, but want to keep that in mind for later. So section of the ruins we can't get on this side, so I'll have to come up to get over there. But if we head in here, there's some ruins much like there were back in... back from when we were here before. So that panel there says light. So what's supposed to do with this is use the move Flash in order to open the door here. I don't believe I have this move with us at the moment. Yeah, we do not have Flash right now. Alright, we should be able to purchase another one of those TMs at Goldenrod. So, I'll go check out what's in there off-stream, I believe, just so we don't waste time. So we got a little puzzle here. This Pokemon knew no fear and flew as it pleased for the skies long ago. You'll probably guess what this is going to be. Whoop, I had it right there. I don't know, it's starting to look like a Jigglypuff is seen from above. Oh wait, it's an Aerodactyl, never mind. Uh-oh. Wah! Ow. And by doing that, it opens up some new encounters in the Ruins of Alph. But nothing we're going to be needing because we already wasted our chance to catch something here. Also, the things in this area are like very low level, so it's not even going to be worth battling them for experience. Sup, this is Huey. How are ya? I'm just bragging about his chin-chow. Alright. Alright, let us please get out of here. It's funny we're encountering coughing so much right now, as that was another shiny Pokemon that I encountered when I was going through the Teal Mask DLC. I guess that could be something that we could talk about while we are doing this tour of the Johto region right now. Just want to see what is across this water first. So no, there should be something past these ruins. For the record, we're definitely going to be visiting the Ruins of Alph a lot while we are over here. Well, really, there is nothing over here. Wow, that's a little annoying, don't you think? Okay. There's nothing else we really need to see over here, so let us move on. So there should be some stuff we can do around Violet City now that we have Surf. So we'll go take care of this. And while we are taking care of things, I think it's time to talk about some of the stuff that has been going on. So yeah, in the time since the last session, and the new DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero Part 1, the Teal Mask, has finally been released. And last couple of days, I have been blazing through the whole thing just so I could take care of all the stuff in the main story for this DLC, as well as getting all the Pokemon that I can in the DLC. And yeah, it was a great time. I really enjoyed getting to explore the Kitakami area, just getting to know all the stuff and the characters there, as well as getting to see all the new Pokemon, which there was only a couple of new Pokemon added in the DLC, but I definitely feel like they fit the culture of the area very well, especially with the main Pokemon that were part of the main story of everything. So yeah, definitely was very interesting, and sadly I don't really want to talk about the DLC too much when it comes to like story spoilers, since it only just came out a few days ago. But yeah, it definitely was a good time. I really enjoyed the whole story that they had going on. how a lot of things in the story was based on the story of Momotaro, so that tale about the boy who went to fight ogres alongside a dog, monkey, and pheasant, that whole story. But yeah, it was just a very interesting twist on that whole story, and just really liked how things progressed with the characters. One character in particular developed in a really interesting way. So I'm really excited for when the second half of the DLC gets released and we get to explore more of this character, because, oh man, they end things for that character in the DLC in a very interesting place. Really excited to see what they develop from here, because it could be just really insane to see what they do with this character going forward. But yeah, and like I said, while I was working on catching some of the Pokemon in Kitakami, I also encountered a couple shinies along the way. First one I said was an Ekans. Then later I found a shiny Squavit, and then I found a shiny Koffing. So yeah, that is the new shinies that I was able to find during my time there. I managed to catch like pretty much everything I needed in Kitakami when it comes to the Pokedex, and the only thing I really need left in order to fully complete it is to get a few Pokemon that I can only obtain by trade. So trade evolutions of Pokemon I have previously caught, as well as some of the Pokemon that are exclusive to the Scarlet version, as I was playing this DLC in the Violet version. So I'm hoping to get all that taken care of fairly soon. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time with the Teal Mask. I loved all the stuff that was going on with it when it came to its story, and it definitely was a nice add-on to the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet experience. Especially what they're going to be building up with a lot of hints in this DLC regarding a certain thing that is going to be happening in the second half. As we probably all know about Terapagos right now, this mythical Pokemon that is able to harness the power of like all the different types. And yeah, it's just going to be very interesting to see what they do with this DLC. Also, curse you for showing this starter Pokemon to me when we already caught something in this area. How dare you! Yeah, there have been a few points while I was training on my team where I did encounter a few starter Pokemon out in the field. And it's definitely a little disappointed that we haven't gotten to encounter any more of these starters when we were going around here. I mean, we already have our buddy Sun, but, you know, he started our journey, so of course he's going to be mainly with us here, but it would be nice to see a few of the other starter Pokemon that we never got to use in our previous stream sessions, you know? Oh, come on! Just taunting me with a Piplup? Not that I even be able to use that, because it's low priority. But I mean, this was the area that we encountered Snorkel, and I'm definitely very appreciative of our little seahorse. So now that we have both Surf and Strength, this opens up a lot of stuff that we can do here in the Dark Cave. So not able to fully explore this area, but we are able to explore a bit here. And this room, we're only able to explore a small portion of it, but I just wanted to check here because I know we could pick up an item. Ooh, Lax Incense. So I believe that makes it so that our opponent's attacks have less of a chance of being able to hit us when a Pokemon holds that, which could be quite good. Also, this room of the Dark Cave, Pokemon are much higher level here, and there's a completely new encounter table here, so yeah, we could run into some new faces here. Although this is still the Dark Cave area, so no new Pokemon we can catch here. It's about as far as we can explore here for the time being. However, if we go south of this point, we can get over to this area. Just hang on. Poochyena, I've already dealt with you before. Alright, there's another area that's much easier to explore once we have Flash, but we don't currently have that, so just going to move on. I am at least thankful in these versions of the game we don't have to worry about Flash being an HM. So once we teach it to a Pokemon, we can easily just forget it without having to worry about going to a specific NPC to do it. I am very appreciative of that, and that move also just no longer really being a factor in the newer games. But yeah, we want to head down here to grab this item that's been taunting us for so long. PP up! That could be very useful to us. Probably gonna be a while before we start using PP ups on some of our Pokemon. Just because I haven't nailed down who is going to be like the big important Pokemon that are gonna carry us into the end game here. But you know, it's always good to kind of think about these kind of things. Just look at our team at the moment and kind of gauge who is going to be with us to the end. Because with some of our team members, I could definitely see them being with us for quite a while. Especially Sparkle, Sun, Snorkel. I could definitely see them being with us for a while. At this point, Squeaks has kind of fallen into the role of our HM buddy, and that's perfectly fine. She's a good Pokemon to have in the middle part of our adventure, but she's eventually going to fall off in terms of power, and that's okay. Alright, also remember to use your item finder in this area because there are some stuff we can encounter here that could be useful. Now that we have access to strength, we can move this boulder. Sorry, Joey. Now, he's probably just gonna brag about his Slugma again and be like, Slugma balls! Whoa, we could have ran a Squirtle here? This cave just loves to give us all the frickin' cool water Pokemon. Also, that would have been a starter I'd actually be able to use because we hadn't used Squirtle in any of our previous streams. This section of the Dark Cave, you want to be careful when navigating. Because this area has two different paths you can take at the end. It kind of splits off near the end before they meet back up at the far exit. So just want to be careful when navigating around here. So yeah, what can we talk about right now? So as I previously said, I drew up some art for some of our Pokemon that had recently evolved in some of the more recent sessions. So drawn up some art from Volbeat. So I definitely feel like you were originally a Dunsparce encounter here, given your level and also just you being a bit higher tier than some other Pokemon. So how dare you? So I drew up some art for Dottie, Squeaks, and Charlotte, and definitely had a fun time drawing them. With that said, I did also draw something else involving our Shiftry Dottie, which I actually drew before I actually evolved her because I felt like it would be fun to do that. And that particular piece of art was deemed too spicy for the Discord server that I tend to visit. So I felt like it would probably be too spicy for Twitch here. So that's why it's not part of the slideshow here. But then again, come on, I've seen like way worse in some of the Discord servers I'm in, as well as here on Twitch. So I feel like it's not that bad. I mean, come on. I mean, I could have drawn her with a bit more detail, you know, but, you know, it's okay. It looks like we are just at the end here. Alright, so if you're very careful, you are able to handle this part of the Dark Cave without needing to backtrack. So we got everything on that side of the cave. So now we can grab this item, which is an antidote. Wow, I really spent all that time being careful just to grab a pretty normal item I could buy for very cheap. And by doing all that, we exit out at Route 46. The same area where we caught Pokemon that's no longer with us. And moving over here, we get to Route 45. It's an area we can't fully explore for the time being, but it is nice to know that this area does connect over to this area. And over here, looks like we got some more apricorns to pick, so we'll go grab a few of these. Yeah, at this point we have seen all the different varieties of apricorn trees. So it's always good to just keep a mental note about where all of these trees are located and where you can find the different varieties, if you're looking to amass a good supply of their unique Pokeballs. Alright, so we jump down this ledge here. You can see another one of those cliff faces we can't climb yet. Alright. So this part of the route, it leads off to two different sections. In order to fully explore Route 46, we have to go back through Dark Cave in order to explore a ledge that we have not previously been to. I'm going to save one of these ledges for when we are not streaming, just because I want to get a move on, you know? So over on this side here, we got ourselves a couple of campers. I'm raising Pokemon too. Will you battle with me? And over here, I raise Pokemon too. Will you battle with me? Sure thing, kids. Let's get some more action in. Especially because the Pokemon at the top of my party are pretty close to getting some level ups. Definitely an interesting party here. Cyndaquil and Solrock. Yeah, that is actually a very neat formation. Alright, one of you is definitely a bit stronger than the others, so we're gonna gang up on the Solrock to take this thing out. Wow, and Squeaks just totally took it out in one hit. Good work, Squeaks. Yeah, as I said before, Raticate, it will fall off eventually, but for the time being, it is a really solid team member. Just really good power. Alright, Cyndaquil shouldn't be too bad either. Of course, you got really low stats in your low level. Alright, next is Lombre. So you have some more pretty standard fare here. Was a pretty neat battle. So yeah, we should be all done with this fight here. Good. And that's a level up on Sparkles! She is getting so close to another good power-up coming up. Really excited for when that happens. Really made me angry to lose. I'll have to train much harder. Here's my number. I'm Aaron. Don't forget. Want to battle me again? It's kind of an awkward trainer to get the phone number for, because until we advance farther along in our journey, the only way we can reach this trainer is to go through the Dark Cave. So yeah, if we want to talk to this person again face to face, we do kind of have to trek quite a while in order to get to them. Yeah. At least for the time being, we don't have to worry about rematches from NPCs, because they're not going to do that until we advance a little bit further along in the story. But we can grab this item over here, which is a big mushroom. Nice, we can sell that for some good coin. And is there anything else we could grab? There might be something over here on the other side of that ledge, but not able to get over there without heading back into Dark Cave. And we're not heading back there again. I learned my lesson from my Pokemon Gold streams. With that said, Magnemite! That would have been a cool encounter to get early on, if not for the fact I previously used Magnemite during my Platinum streams. So it would have been low priority compared to some of the other Pokemon in the area. I mean, I was glad to get the opportunity to use a Duskull in this area, because it is pretty rare to get a ghost type this early on, and she really did come in clutch in a lot of early battles. I still miss her. Alright, with that taken care of, why don't we visit our friend, the Professor. Hi, July, how are you? How's the egg doing? Are you taking it everywhere you go? Time and care will make it hatch and give you a healthy Pokemon eventually. Well, as a matter of fact, I have your egg Pokemon right here. Okay, he's not changing up his dialogue, and that's kind of awkward. Yeah, I think he'll only be able to do the thing where if you show him the Pokemon that hatches from the egg, and he gives you an Everstone, it looks like he'll only do that if you talk to him with a Togepi. So, yeah, we're kind of stuck there. We cannot get the Everstone from him, but hey, that's fine. Everstone isn't really an item I like to use during the main story anyway. So all it does is prevent a Pokemon from being able to evolve, and who wants to do that, especially in a Nuzlocke run? But anyway, by surfing past New Barktown, we end up in Route 27. Hey! Do you know what you just did? You're taking your first step in a Kanto! Check your Pokegear map and see. He is not kidding. If we load in our map here, we can see that we are now in the Kanto region. It's a little ways away before we can really get to see more of this, but trust me when I say that this is going to be good. Hang on a second. Looks like we had a bot come in here. Just give me a second here. Alright, looks like that should be fine for now. But yep, we are officially in the Kanto region. Though we're not going to get to see much of that area until much later on. But for the time being, there are some stuff we can see around here if we so please. So along here, well, looks like we're getting our first encounter by surfing. Corfish. We already got one of you, so this is not an option. But yep, while you are surfing on the surface of water, you're able to encounter Pokemon while you're surfing, which could definitely open up quite a few different things for you to catch. I'm kind of leaning more to trying to catch things with the rod, because the Pokemon that we do get there are usually higher level than the ones we get to encounter on the surface of the water, until we get a bit later in these areas. So how about we just see what we can catch? And yet, you can also use your fishing rod while you're surfing on a Pokemon. Whoa, Cranidos! That is an interesting encounter. Certainly not a Pokemon I've really used in a lot of Nuzlocke runs. This thing is a rock type, so I do want to be careful, but I think Sun should be okay. Ooh, that was close. So yeah, we should be fine here. So yeah, Cranidos is interesting because that's a fossil Pokemon you normally only encounter if you were able to revive a fossil in the Sinnoh games. Heavy Ball kind of fits you, so I want to see if I can catch you with this. I think fossil Pokemon are traditionally pretty hard to capture, though, so this could be neat. Also got to watch out for this. Cranidos is a pretty strong Pokemon, and unfortunately, there's a thing this thing could do that could screw us over a bit. So yeah, this thing has Takedown, so this thing is able to inflict recoil damage on itself. So if we don't catch it quickly, it's going to knock itself out. Oh, come on. That's not good. Okay, Sun is taking a bit of damage here. I do not want to risk him taking a critical hit, so we're going to have to heal. Come on, bud. We should be fine just as long as this thing doesn't take down again. Oh, cut that out. It's in the red. That does make it easier to catch. But it's also very likely this thing could knock itself out next turn. Come on. No. I mean, I'm not too upset if we miss out on this encounter because, ugh. Okay, do not want to risk getting hit again because that could take out Sun. Let's Soda Pop. Not too worried about potentially losing out on this thing because Cranidos, while it is a great physical attacker, rest of its stats besides HP aren't all that great. So it's going to be kind of not... It's a little awkward to use is what I'm trying to say. It does evolve very early for a fossil Pokemon, so that could be useful in a Nuzlocke run. Yeah, we actually got it! Nice! Oh, that was so good, considering how close this thing was to knocking itself out. Which, hey, kind of fitting, given this thing's reputation. But yeah, when this thing evolves, it becomes one of the hardest hitting Pokemon in the game. Because it has one of the highest attack stats of any non-legendary Pokemon. But the rest of its stats besides its HP aren't all that great in order to counterbalance it. So yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting. And I kind of got a name for this thing in mind. So let's call you Patchy. Because it's a Pachycephalosaur. Oh man, that's very fun. This could be pretty interesting to use since we don't have a whole lot of rock types at the moment. It is a bit awkward to use, but coming up we would be able to get this thing evolved in time for a gym battle. So, I don't know, I'll consider it. This is certainly a cool Pokemon to get at this point, after we have cleared half the gyms in the Johto region. Alright, that was very cool indeed. Hey, don't blow me away! Damn birds. Yeah, some Pokemon, they do have some moves that can scare your team away from them, which can be a little upsetting if you're trying to capture these Pokemon for your team. But I don't have to worry about that because obviously we have a Pidgeotto. It's not like these things were our first encounter in this area. Hey, stop doing that! I want to get experience from you guys. Come on. Okay, will you birds please let me do damage? Also, why are you even trying to Whirlwind when you're up against a Pokemon you'd normally be able to do super effective damage against? I swear, the AI... I'm pretty sure for wild Pokemon, when it comes to what moves they use, they just pick an attack randomly. But in the case of trainer battles, the AI does try to gauge what would be the best move to use at that moment. So they'll usually prioritize doing damage to your Pokemon over using a status move. Unless they do have a Pokemon that can inflict a status ailment on you. In which case, if they do see your Pokemon doesn't have a status ailment, then they will try to prioritize using the status move against you. Yeah, Pokemon Battle AI is pretty interesting. Not exactly the most complex thing out there, but it's interesting, you know? Just use our regular potions. I don't want to waste our Soda Pop just on Pidgeotto damage. If we go over here, pick up a rare candy. Nice. Some more stuff we could do on Route 27, but unfortunately we do not have the tools to be able to venture farther out here. So we're gonna have to come back here much later on. But don't worry, our path will eventually take us to this area before the end of our adventure. So before we head back to town, there is another area around here that I do want to check out. So if we go up here, there's a cave here. Tojo Falls, the link between Kanto and Johto. Like the name of this area is just an anagram of Johto. So Tojo Falls here is a new area that we can encounter Pokemon at. So let's take an opportunity to catch something. So what do we have here? Also, hello Lydia, welcome to the stream. Voltorb? Is this thing at the level where it could go boom boom? Because I don't know. This thing could go boom boom, but it's also not the best user of going boom boom. Let's soften it up with a Mach Punch and see. Okay, going for Sonic Boom there. I'm a little anxious. Who has the best defense right now? Just cause I want to be careful. It looks like it's... It looks like it's Dottie. Alright. I think Dottie should be good for doing this. Man, this is kind of a neat encounter because I have not managed to use a Voltorb in a Nuzlocke run for a long time. Not since my original Pokemon Blue Nuzlocke, where I did use a Voltorb and an Electrode for most of the game. She was unfortunately unable to make it to the final team, but she was a damn useful team member, as you could obviously tell from my Blue comic on my DeviantArt page. Alright, this is a pretty neat encounter, and one that we could get fully evolved by the next gym. So yeah, you would be pretty neat. Alright, I got a name in mind for you. This thing just came to mind immediately. Game Sphere! It's spherical! That's how you know it's good. It's not a Game Cube, it's a Game Sphere. Also, I am sorry for your loss there, Lydia. Yeah, having a shiny Pokemon go boom boom on you is Not very pleasant. But yeah, just to show up more of Tojo Falls here. We are able to surf in this area, but there's not much else that we're gonna get to see here. You! You gave me so much grief earlier! I would fight you if I had any good moves. Yeah, we go over here, there's this big waterfall in our way. A wall of water is crashing down with a mighty roar. Nothing we can do about that for the time being. So we cannot advance any farther. Well, Lickitung! That would have actually been a pretty neat addition to our team. And it's at a good level, too. Ah, dang, that would have been pretty fun. One of my older SoulSilver runs I did from when I was a teen, I did actually use a Lickitung in my party, and he was a pretty darn good team member. I've always said before that I find Lickitung kind of underrated, especially in the games where you can actually access its evolution. And yeah, I could actually recommend it in this one. It's very tanky, pretty strong, and it learns a lot of good TM moves. So it's definitely a Pokemon I can recommend. Alright, but I am pretty satisfied what we were able to catch in the areas beyond New Barktown. We will eventually be returning to this area, but for the time being, it's pretty much all that we can see at the moment. Also, will you leave me alone? I mean, it's pretty fitting we're encountering Corphish over here in the water. Really takes me back to when I was a kid, when me and my brothers would go out into the forest and we'd try to catch crayfish out in the creek. It's a good time. Ooh, Gastrodon. This could give us some good experience. Dottie, gonna need your help with this. Let's pray this thing doesn't have hidden power bug, because I know these things naturally get hidden power. Alright, this should be a pretty good hit on you. Oh, there's the hidden power. I knew this thing had it. Okay, did neutral damage. That's good. Yeah, gotta watch out for those Pokemon that can use hidden power when you're doing a Nuzlocke run, because it's purely random whether they will actually have a type that could do high damage to your Pokemon, and you gotta watch out for that. Because if that was a bug-type hidden power, that would have just ripped right through Dottie. Ugh. Yep, that's about everything I wanted to do over by New Barktown. So we finally get over here, please. Oh man, it was a long trek back here. Let us heal up at the professor's place. And we should be good to go. It certainly has been a while since we were back home. How are you feeling, son? Oh, there's a Leaf. Ah, man, he's just having a good time. It has been quite a while since Sun and me first started this journey. Especially because I took a little bit of a hiatus after, well, like, the second session we were doing this run. I don't know, just for whatever reason I wasn't really feeling like streaming at that time, but I'm very grateful that now I have been feeling motivated to continue streaming. Just a little hobby of mine that I really like enjoying. It's certainly nothing that I'm seeing is going to be very, like, this isn't going to explode into a big chunk of my life going forward, but it's just nice to have this a little hobby. I'm not doing this so that I could try to get big numbers of followers and try to earn money. Just a little hobby of mine. I just like being able to play games and share my experiences with people who choose to tune in. And so far, with the amount of streams I've been doing over the years, I feel like it's been worth it. And hopefully we're not slowing down anytime soon, because there's still a lot of games I want to play over here. Especially in my favorite series of all time, as you can clearly tell. You! God, I felt like it was such an omen of things to come that the first encounter we ever had for a Pokemon teammate in this game was Ladybug, of all things, because it's so flippin' weak. Yeah, that's good to hear, Lydia. I do tend to follow a few of the bigger channels that you usually see here, but yeah, there is something a lot more intimate about tuning into one of the smaller streams and knowing that your message being sent to them isn't going to be lost in a sea of other comments. And I feel like people with smaller audiences, they do appreciate their audience a bit more compared to some of the larger channels. Not saying one side is clearly better than the other, but I do kind of prefer how things are with some of the smaller, more intimate channels. Don't need to worry about healing our team right now. But here in Cherry Grove, there's some new stuff for us by going to the sea, as you can see. So over here, if we talk to this guy on this little sandbar, a Pokemon I caught had an item. I think it's Mystic Water. I don't need it, so you do want it. Mystic Water. We already have one of these, but it is a very nice item. It will boost the power of Water-type moves of the Pokemon holding it. So it's definitely useful if you have a Horsey like I do. But if we also look around here... Now, come on. Just... Why do we have to get an encounter like every flippin' time? I mean, that's not too bad. At least some can damage this thing for good damage. Yep, Snorkel is still baby. Though he's probably not going to be baby much longer. In a few levels, they will eventually become not baby. Alright. So, Sun, let us move you out of the front and give Charlotte a time to shine. We really haven't seen much of Charlotte in this session, and I definitely want to use more of her Spider. After all, she was our little baby we hatched from that egg all that time ago. She's clearly important as what some people have been implying. So yeah, up here there is another one of these cliffs that we cannot scale yet. There is an item up there we can't get yet. So yep, I just wanted to make note of that for the future. We'll eventually be coming over there eventually. Whoa, Mantine! Alright, that's honestly kind of fitting that we would run into these at this point. But still actually wild to see one of these. That is quite the Pokemon. Actually, one I've been hoping to use at some point on the channel, but haven't had a time to do it. They are pretty decent, all things considered. Just pretty strong attackers, and they're also very tanky, having a lot of special defense. So they could be pretty useful to you. Ooh, a little worried about this Bubble Beam coming from this thing. It's also rain boosted. Ew, I'm not liking that. What to do about you? I want to try to knock you out because that is a lot of experience we get from this thing. We don't really have good Pokemon to take you out with. If you have a flying move, Dottie is at risk there. I guess we could send Dottie out and see what happens. Okay, it's not going for... electric thing. Yeah. Man, getting hit by confusion from this thing really screwed Sparkles out on being able to just one-shot this thing. Alright, soften you up with a fake out. And we should be good. I'm going to target you with Payback instead of Solar Beam just because I know targeting your physical attack is going to be a bit better. Alright, yeah, that's doing good. Yeah, this really is a Pokemon that I'd really like to use in one of my future streams, just haven't found the time to use one. Alright, give us that juicy experience. That's going to be cut between our team members. And we have this happening. Thanks, Mantine. You really are a bro. Alright, give me a second. Oh, come on, we are so close to the beach. Scorpy, what are you doing in the water? This is no place for a Scorpion. Alright, that did some pretty good damage. Very nice. Alright, let us heal up before we go any farther. Because we still have a lot to explore with Surf. And given how much time we have right now, yeah, we should be able to get most of what I wanted to get done in this session. Alright, let's go look at the new teammates that we had caught. As we definitely caught a few things. Alright, so this Cranidos has Torrent. Oh, that is not good for you. Neither is that Quiet Nature. Poor you. And GameSphere has Shell Armor. That prevents you from taking critical hits, which is pretty good for you at the moment. So yeah, we got ourselves some interesting new teammates here. Probably not using them very soon, but they'd be nice to consider for the future. Alright, so wanted to head back to Route 30. You know what? I have Repels. I should really be using these right now. So hello, Tyrogue, a Pokemon I was originally planning to use back in my gold streams. But other things came up and I decided against it. I do want to use a member of the Hitmonlee family in one of my streams at some point. It's always been a family I've had a little connection towards. Alright, so over here, we were able to surf across this pond north of Cherry Grove. And over down here, should be able to find an Ultra Ball. Alright, that's good. That's everything around here. Alright, we're done. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to head over to Union Cave. It has been a while since we've been over to that area, so it'll be nice to get to see all the new stuff we can now that we have the ability to surf. But, oh boy, there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to have to show off in that area. So just prepare yourself. We got a lot of stuff to go over. While we're making our way to Union Cave, there is also some stuff that I wanted to talk about, given some events that had happened recently. So yesterday we actually had a Nintendo Direct kind of going over... Oh, come on. Really? But we had a Nintendo Direct yesterday talking about some of the new games that are going to be releasing this year as well as in 2024. And for the most part, it was a... Really? For the most part, it was an okay Direct. There was a few things there I was interested in. The new Splatoon 3 DLC looks pretty good. The new Princess Peach game looks really interesting, especially with the different costumes that Peach puts on. I especially really love the sword fighter outfit she wears. Just such a great look for her. You don't really expect Peach to wear that kind of outfit, but it looks amazing on her. And I've saw a lot of good fan art already of her in that outfit. Just, so good. But yeah, a lot of information from that Direct was mostly okay, except for the thing that happened right at the end. Because the very last announcement that was made in that Direct was for Paper Mario The 1,000-Year Door being completely remade on the Switch. Just, my god, what a fantastic final reveal. So I've been a big Paper Mario fan for quite a few years now, and I've especially had a lot of reverence for 1,000-Year Door. It's just such a great game, and just one of my favorite RPGs in general. So I do actually have it on GameCube, and definitely one of my favorite things was able to acquire from a convention back in the day. But yeah, it was definitely a game that was very hard to come by these days. So finally getting it being released on this new hardware, allowing more people a chance to get exposed to the series, it's gonna be so good. Just really amazing that we are actually getting some classic Paper Mario content again after all this time. So yeah, we're not getting it until next year, but I'm still very excited to get to play it, because I know it's just such a good game, and hoping to encourage a lot of other people to give it a try, especially because this is a pretty important re-release for a lot of people, because the Paper Mario series has been in an awkward position the last couple of years, where after Super Paper Mario, the quality of the games in that series started to decline, starting with Sticker Star and then progressing forward from there for the next couple of games. And a lot of people online have been very, very vocal about how much they dislike the direction Paper Mario had taken in the last couple of years, with how essentially abandoning a lot of the things that made the series so good, with the very tight but easy to grasp RPG mechanics, the slew of entirely new characters that are either completely new races or build upon previously established characters in the Mario series. Yeah, just getting to have these very cool storylines. We get to see new sides to characters like Mario, Peach, Bowser, Luigi. They're just such great games, and it's very sad to see the series start to devolve and get a lot more safe and unoriginal as time went on. But it seemed like things that were starting to get back on track with Origami King, as that game actually does have unique characters, a lot more than some of the previous games gave us, and yeah, but just very nice to see them finally doing this remake. It's really good. Yahoo! It's Friday! I'm Frida Friday. Nice to meet you. Here's a poison barb for you. So that's actually one of the characters that can show up on specific days. Since it's Friday, we're able to find Frida here, giving us an item that boosts the power of poison-type attacks. We're not really going to see much use for that going forward, especially because our girl here, Charlotte, doesn't actually have a poison attack right now. It'll probably be a while before she learns one, but, you know, still appreciate that. Alright, but we're finally at Union Cave. It's kind of ironic that Frida was the last one you were looking for, considering she's usually the first one you encounter, because she's up here at Route 32. Alright, now that we're here in Union Cave, there is a lot that we can do here. And a lot of stuff that connects this area to an area that we had previously visited a few times. Not really worried about encountering wild Pokemon at the moment, so that's why we bought a couple of repels to get through here. Just give me a second to prepare. Also, let's move you to the front of our bag. There we go. Alright, not only do we have a lot more floors to explore this area, but we also got a lot more trainers to fight, which could give us some interesting challenges ahead. So at first we're going to take this path up here, which... nothing over on this side. Which goes over here. And this area is going to be a bit interesting. There's a few different pathways we can take up here that split off to sections that will lead us to the same area, but on different paths, as you're going to see very soon. Hiker Leonard. Oh, hey there, Church. Got himself a little Natu. Not too worried about this thing, honestly. Natu really doesn't have a lot of good attacks, so we shouldn't have to worry about anything this can do to us. Ooh, it's got Miracle Eye. That's quite the unique move. It allows Psychic types to be able to attack Dark types, and it also, I believe, will allow them to hit an evasive opponent. So it's quite neat. Only a few Pokemon get that move, however, so it's not really the easiest to use reliably. And we got a Shelter here. That one is more of a physical tank, so let's dish out damage with extra sensory. Alright, that was very good. And we should be able to finish you off with one more hit. Alright, level up on Charlotte. Very good. Waha, you're a feisty one. I live down here. If you like, you can always come visit. I just noticed that someone was trying to call us, so... that's unfortunate. Nah, they probably weren't calling about anything important. At least I hope it wasn't something important like Alan calling us to tell us, hey, I got a Firestone, you want it? Oh, I guess they hung up. Oh well, guess I'll sell this. That'd be disappointing. Looking around here, you want to be careful when using your item finder in this area, because there could be quite a few hidden things here. Yeah, typically, whenever you're exploring a cave, get your item finder out, because there are a lot of hidden items that you can find around here that you wouldn't be able to notice otherwise. It's been a while since I last saw another person. Don't be shy, let's battle! What about that other hiker we met earlier? No? Okay. So we got here, Philip. Alright, Numble could be a bit interesting. Not the best matchup for Dottie, but we have Fake Out. That can soften you up. Alright, given how much damage we dealt to that, we should be able to finish you off with Payback. There we go. Critical hit too, not bad. And next Pokemon is Wailmer. Alright, that should be easy to deal with. Just Solar Beam it. So while we're finishing up this battle, what's some stuff that we can talk about? I guess I could talk a little bit about my day. It's been pretty good so far. It's finishing up the drawing that I had previously done, which you can see displayed in our current stream right now. And then I took a break from that just to kind of head downtown and just kind of enjoy the sights and look around, as I don't really have that many opportunities just to relax and walk around town. But yeah, it was nice. I had a decent lunch, and then while I was waiting for the buses to show up, I bought another pack of Pokemon cards because I'm addicted to collecting these things now. And I also grabbed some ice cream, so it was nice. Had a nice little relaxing day off. Which I might as well say right now, next week, I got a lot of days off in a row, so we could potentially see another stream happening very soon. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. Because I've really been enjoying streaming this series, and more opportunities I have to get to show off my experiences in this game and try to build off whatever little narrative we're building in this run, it's all good for me. Especially because I have a lot more free time now that I'm not currently hosting a Friendlock series at the moment. Yeah, that was a fun time too, but I'm really glad I don't have to worry about working on that anymore. Yeah, as we can see here, that path through the Union Cave actually led back into the ruins of Alph. There's a patch of grass here. If you're playing the vanilla Heart Gold and Soul Silver, this would be the only area in the game where you can encounter Smeargle as well as Naptoo. However, we had previously tried to catch a Pokemon here, and that failed. So, there's nothing we can do about that. But what we can do is fight this trainer over here. What do you have? This is a strange place. It's very strange indeed. Psychic Nathan. It's the same name as my brother. Glalie. Oh boy, that could be something. Given what attacks this thing would normally have, actually I think Snorkel, it would be fine against this thing. It does have pretty high stats compared to other Pokemon at this point, but it's not too bad. Despite being fully evolved, Glalie really isn't that strong. Okay, I say that, and Snorkel actually took a lot of damage there. I mean, it makes sense. Glalie's fully evolved. Snorkel's still a baby boy! That just took out that Oni mask. Way to go, Snorkel! Way to completely outperform a fully evolved Pokemon, dude! Oh, man. Yep, I definitely said this before, but Glalie is honestly pretty pathetic. At least when it comes to fully evolved Pokemon. But there, it just got completely dunked on by Snorkel. That's just embarrassing. I like thinking here. Yeah, whatever, bud. You just go and do that. As we can see in these ruins, the message here is Ho-Oh. Yep, unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to get to see what's on the other side of that. And for all we know, the items on the other side are probably really good evolution items. But we got another puzzle that we can do here. So this one is definitely one of the more complicated ones. We have a lot of shapes that have a similar feel to each other, so it can be a little tricky in order to get the shapes just right. And also, you gotta make sure that the tiles are rotated in the right way in order to be able to make sure you got everything just right. But I think we're pretty good here. Turn you over like that, and then just need to flip this one. There we go. Completed the little Ho-Oh mosaic, which opens up the path again! Ow! God, they could at least put pillows down there or something. So yeah, that unlocks some potentially more Pokemon to encounter here, but there's nothing else we can catch in this area. And the last one of the ruins that we're able to encounter, we currently do not have the means of being able to access it. Well, one of the things in there at the moment, but, you know, that's fine. Especially because I don't kind of want to waste one of those items, because it takes a while to grind up the points for them. But we should be good. It's got like another section of the Ruins of Alph we gotta check out, and then we'll be pretty much done with that area for the time being. So definitely looking forward to clearing that out. Normally I wouldn't be fighting this very low level thing right now, but we're just on the cusp of leveling up, so might as well. There we go, 27 on Snorkel. He's definitely really come a long way. So I'm glad out of our very early Pokemon that we caught in this run, Snorkel's managed to last this far. He's been a really good teammate all throughout this run, and depending on how things go, he could be getting even better. I'm not too worried about encounters right now, but I don't know. Still thinking about stuff we can talk about. So I've already talked about Teal Mask. I've already talked about the Nintendo Direct, and just how stoked I am about a certain game involving paper. Oh yeah, something else that was revealed during the Nintendo Direct is that we are going to be getting the final DLC courses for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe very soon, which I'm very thankful for since I finally purchased Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I was having a very fun time playing it with my friends a while back. And the next pack is also going to feature some new returning characters that were in previous Mario Kart games. So Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Pauline, and Peachette are going to be returning for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And pretty happy with these returning characters, in all honesty. Like, Diddy Kong and Funky Kong, I already have a lot of reverence because I was a big Donkey Kong fan when I was a kid, so I definitely have a lot of attachment to those guys. And also just fun seeing more Donkey Kong representation in a Mario spin-off, you know? And Pauline, I've been really liking her many appearances ever since Super Mario Odyssey basically reinvented the character and made her just a very cool character who's been getting a lot of chances to shine in a lot of the various spin-off games. So I'm happy with her inclusion. Peachette, on the other hand, it's just another version of Toadette from a version of New Super Mario Bros. U that I doubt people have actually invested a lot of time into. Also, that character is the sole reason for the Super Crown existing, which means that she is to blame for all that art of frickin' Bowsette and Bouette and all those other characters. So, you know, we have that. So yeah, I'm not too keen on Peachette being included in this game over, like, other Mario Kart representation. Like, I would have preferred the frickin' and Queen Bee from Super Mario Galaxy returning for this game rather than Peachette. That's just how much I do not care for this character. Whatever. So you see here, the last panel here is water, the source of all life. In order to open that, we need a water stone, which we do not have. We got one more tile puzzle here. This one honestly shouldn't be too bad. I remember back in the original Gold and Silver, this one was quite tricky to solve, just because, as in those ones, you don't have a portion of this thing already solved for you. You just have to arrange all the tiles one by one. So that definitely made the Omanite puzzle the trickiest to do. But with that, we have basically handled everything we can do in the Union Cave, at least when it comes to the ruins of Alph. There's still quite a few things we can do over there at the time being. Actually, with what current day of the week it is, yeah, we'll definitely want to return to the Union Cave to get to show something off. Alright, let us quickly move. Could you guys not block my path here? I'm trying to get our progress back so we can show something off. Especially because I tend to only stream for about 2 hours a day. So please leave me alone. I don't have any more repels. Please. There we go. There, if you say please at the game enough times, eventually it will listen. Alright, so gonna make our way quickly to Union Cave in order to wrap up what we can do in that area. And then it should also be everything we could do in Union Cave. So besides that, some other stuff I want to talk about. I'm starting to really run out of things to say at the moment. Guess one thing I could say very recently, last night, I kind of felt the urge to start playing Subnautica again, which was a game that I was really into a couple years back. Just such an incredible game, being this survival open world game where you're stranded on a planet that is mostly covered in water, and you're just struggling to survive in this very hostile area full of very dangerous creatures. You have to worry about conserving, about taking care of your health, as well as being able to eat and drink, and also making sure that you have enough oxygen when you're diving, just being very careful in managing your resources as you struggle to build a base and explore this alien world. It is such a great game, and at some point I do want to stream it, but it's probably going to take a while before we jump into that, because I have a lot of other things that I want to do. But at some point I do want to try and make a stream series out of playing Subnautica. I think it'd be a very fun time. But yeah, with that, it's time to head back into the Union Cave. Sadly, we're all out of repels, so just gonna have to grin and bear it. Oh yeah, it is very pretty. Just one of the most gorgeous games that I have seen from that I have on PC, which is also pretty surprising at this point because it's a pretty old game at this point. It's been out for quite a few years, but it still holds up so much visually. And a lot of that definitely lends itself to how stylized the game is. And also the fact that it is portraying an alien world. So it also has that element to it, where it's not based on any real-world locations. So a lot of the flora and fauna are able to just look really good compared to some other creatures from more recent games, I feel. It's just such a great game, so very well made, and yeah, I'm really excited to play some more of it soon. I have fully beaten the game before, so just a little run to try and refresh myself on what the game is about, and yep, it's still a good time. Alright, I feel like we'll be able to knock this out in the next 15 minutes before we end this stream. So, let us hurry up and do this. So, want to head down here. So, we'll head to the depths of the Union Cave where we have never ventured before. Who's there? Leave me and my Pokemon alone! Got another one of these creepos here. What do you got there, Andrew? Ah, Munchlax. Man after my own heart, as I do quite like Munchlax a lot. Not like if I were to catch one of these things I'd be able to use it, since I have previously used Snorlax during my LeafGreen streams. So it would be a low priority catch, unfortunately. And next thing you got is Arbok. That's quite the neat encounter there. Hopefully Squeak's gonna be able to handle this thing. Yep, one more hit and we're good. Ooh, a little worried about that Screech though. That does lower our defense by 2 stages. But we should be able to handle you. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. Go away. And whatever you say, man, you're the one who challenged me. Ah, this guy's very fond of his snake, isn't he? Nothing to read into there. Let's go. Go, Vominos. Oh, there's another one. Great. Burmy, I have no intention of doing anything with you. So leave. What do you got, buddy? I came all the way here to conduct my Pokemon research. Let me demonstrate my findings in a real battle. So I'm pretty sure in the vanilla games this guy uses a Kangaskhan, so I'm quite interested to see what he uses here. Golduck. Ha! We've already fought these things before. We're good. Yeah, I really wish Golduck was a better Pokemon than it actually is. It looks frickin' awesome, and I love the detail of this guy being a lot more tricky than other normal water types, where it learns a lot of Psychic-type attacks. But yeah, he's just kind of underwhelming, and I really wish I'd be able to use one of these guys in a good way. Because it has been a while since I've seriously used the Psyduck family. Not since Black 2 and White 2, I want to say, have I seriously considered using Golduck. Well, happy to help you, buddy. Now that that's taken care of, who do we want up front? That's an interesting little tidbit there, Lydia. We can see there are hidden items here. This is the lowest floor of the Union Cave, and this area has a lot for us to see. So want to make sure we can grab everything here that we can before we leave. Also be a good opportunity to level up some of our Pokemon, as this area is going to have a lot of neat battles for us. It'll definitely be good for growing our team. Alright, over here we got an item. That should be a PP up. Nice. And man, what else we got here? I think Goldeen is actually a pretty standard encounter around here. Actually, I think Tentacool is usually the Pokemon you run into down here in Union Cave. I think what they're going through for in this area is that this cave is connected to the sea, so you'll encounter quite a few different Pokemon in the water here that you would usually find in the sea. Or we could run into Noctowl. That's also an option. Level 25, though. That is pretty powerful. Hopefully we should be fine against this thing. Noctowl really isn't the strongest Pokemon, so we should be good. Also, you're more of a special special defense tank. So yep, that should be good. Oh yeah, that's good. Boosh! Alright, very close on a level up for Sparkles, which will get you one step closer to the thing I'm really excited for. Yep, go ahead, give us another battle. I want it now. Alright, that's level 20 Noctowl. Bit weaker, but it should still give us some good experience. So I actually have a shiny Noctowl that I caught in a one of those raid battles back in Generation 8 that came with the Crown Tundra DLC. Definitely a fun time. I was definitely doing a lot of those raid battles to try to get at least one shiny from them. Especially if we had the opportunity to get a shiny legendary. But I was able to get a Noctowl from that, and I'm quite pleased with it. It's a very nice looking shiny. Not exactly the most powerful Pokemon, but, you know, still one I very like in terms of its design. God, can we go any farther without an encounter already? Finally, we're over here. And is there anything we can grab? Nope. Alright. So let's head over here. So I believe there's a battle and also an item to grab here. Oh, hey, you. Again. I'm not too worried about this thing against Sun, but just in case, let's switch over to Sparkles. She is much better equipped to handle this thing. I guess it makes sense that there would be Noctowl in this cave, given these things are more nocturnal. So they're hiding out here, waiting for it to turn night. Although they're not really cave-dwelling animals. Oh, Aaron's calling us. Hi, July. This Aaron. How you doing? Aaron's Soul Rock's much stronger than before. I should know. I'm Aaron. See you. Bye-bye. Aaron is a little character quirk where they tend to talk about themselves in the third person. It's kind of endearing. There are two kinds of people, those with style and those without. Which kind of person are you? Ace Trainer Neck. Okay, what the heck? That's a normal frickin' encounter for you? Yeah, I believe the gimmick with this trainer is that he uses all of the Kanto starters. So him having a Bulbasaur here is just normal for him to have. What the heck? Mudkip? Are you kidding me? That's another starter! Okay, game, what is your damage right now? This is really weird even by your standards. Uh-oh, the dude abides. Luckily, we're going for Solar Beam, so we should be fine here. This should hopefully knock you out. There we go. Alright, what's the last thing you got? Skip Bloom. Really, dude? You couldn't make it like something else? Not too worried about this thing. Let's go with Nature Power. Yeah, because I know it turned in a Rock Slide in here. Get rained on, nerd. Oh, it survived. Oh boy. And this is one of the games where grass types aren't immune to powder moves yet. That's fantastic. Okay, buddy, you had an interesting setup here. Nothing we couldn't handle, but it was an interesting battle to say the least. You got dazzling style. Aw, thank you, man. Oh, her mom called from that. So yep, this guy is an ace trainer, which will typically use stronger Pokemon than you usually expect. So yep, him having that team was a little standard, honestly, but it was interesting to see him using some starters. Even starters that he didn't normally use. Okay, that's taken care of. So let's go grab this up here. If we cannot get an encounter, 5 minutes. Ooh, Poliwhirl. Ah, that'd be so fun to use, but I don't currently have a good setup for this thing. Yeah, Sparkles, you can handle that. I'm a little worried about sending Dottie out, because these things can learn fighting attacks. I don't know if they do at this level, but even still. Very good. Alright, let's grab this item. PP up. We're finding a lot of these in this session. Okay, just got a little bit more of this cave to explore. Given our current time, yeah, looks like we're going to go into overtime here, but that's okay. I pretty much ran out of all the things I want to talk about anyway, so commentary is going to be a little lax at the moment. So that's it for the items around here. So let us see what we can find this way. Another Noctowl, eh? Well, I got just the cat for that. Alright, good. That didn't confuse me. So I guess something I could mention right now that I find a little amusing. Recently there have been a lot of art trends by people where they latch onto a certain idea for a drawing, and a lot of people try to replicate it, and there have been a few of those lately that I found pretty amusing. So very recently there was one where people were redrawing some official artwork for Kid Icarus Uprising that involved Palatino holding a Nintendo 3DS and Pitchus reacting to it in a very cute way. Found a lot of different drawings on that online that have been very amusing. Oh man, the things that people will do as part of an art thing. And another piece of art that I was seeing a lot of people draw lately is I've been seeing people draw these characters that were originally part of a very vintage Barbie commercial from like way back in the day. Like, I think the animator who did that commercial used to do animations for like Sesame Street and Schoolhouse Rock, because it's kind of that vein with the animation, but the characters that were featured in that commercial, as well as their pretty distinct personalities, a lot of people found them very enjoyable. So now those people have been drawing those characters very recently, and I've really been enjoying the artwork that they have done with them. Just some very cute character designs, and very nice to see this part of history getting more of a spotlight at the moment. Alright, but right now we got quite the formidable fight here. So the gimmick with this trainer in Vanilla is that she uses an Eevee as well as its evolutions, Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. So she's naturally going to have a lot of strong Pokemon in her current party. So we got ourselves a big fight here. Donphan, I remember you. We could go to Snorkel, but you're a little weak in terms of stats, so we'll go to Dottie. It's going for Rollout, like I was expecting, but we have Fake Out. That should cancel out the Rollout, and should give us a chance to heal up so that we're prepared for what you're going to do next. Yeah, let's go ahead and drink our Soda Pop. Let's heal up this damage. Very good. Alright, it's going for Rollout again. Luckily, that shouldn't do a lot. Alright, we are going to have to wait a turn, but hopefully we're able to knock this thing out in one hit. I know Donphan isn't a very good special tank, so we should be able to handle this. There we go. That should handle it. I've just been very worried about Donphan these days, ever since that battle with Fire Breather Walt, and what he took from us. And last one is Gardevoir. Alright, that is an interesting final pick there. So Gardevoir here is a Psychic type, and one of the best special attackers you can get in this game. Honestly, one I could definitely recommend if you're able to pick it up. It's just a very powerful Pokemon. Surprisingly bulkier than you'd expect because it has really good special defense. And it learns a lot of good attacks. So it's definitely a Pokemon I can recommend. There we go. Aw, no, you're too good for me. Well, you had some pretty interesting Pokemon as well. That was a very formidable team who really pushed us in a few ways, but we pulled through. Alright, I feel like we are just about done here. There should be one more trainer to fight. And then there is one last thing to show off in Union Cave before we end off this session. Alright, we got an item over here to pick up. It is a Max Elixir. Very nice, that fully restores all the power points of the Pokemon it's used on. So that could be very handy for us in the future. Whoa, Sudowoodo! You're an interesting thing to see down here. Also, kind of inconvenient for you to be down here since there's so much water. But that's okay. So this is the Pokemon that we would have normally encountered from the weird tree that we encountered back on Route 36. A pretty neat Pokemon. It's a pure rock type with some interesting gimmicks and moves, such as being able to use the move Mimic to copy the move its opponent used to be able to use it by Sudowoodo. It's a pretty strong Pokemon, a decent physical tank. One that I have said on multiple occasions that it's one of my personal favorite Pokemon. And still holds true to this day. I really like this guy. Haven't really found an opportunity to use one in my streams, but at some point I do want to use Sudowoodo. Just because I like him so much. Alright, Charlotte, you take point here. We should be just about done with this area over here. And grab this Max Potion. Definitely been gathering a lot of those. And here's our last trainer to battle. If the Pokemon I liked were there, I go anywhere. That's what a real trainer does. Alright, Ace Trainer Emma, it's got a Delcatty. Seriously, after getting all this way, this is what we're fighting? I'm not too worried about this thing. Delcatty is pretty pathetic. Some normal type Pokemon. It's got a few interesting status moves it can naturally learn. This thing is so flippin' weak. And of course, this thing is just not helping Charlotte right now. Because of course. Squeaks, you can handle this thing. Show her what a real normal type can do. Now, how dare you? Smash the cat! Alright, we get a bit of damage in, and we have done that. Very good. Alright, one more hit should do it. And you're putting us to sleep again. Groovy. Alright, if we go to Sun, he has a priority move. So we should be able to knock this Delcatty out next turn. Come on. Stop slapping my Pokemon. Take it. There we go. I'd rather pet my Pokemon than battle. To be fair, petting Pokemon is very sweet. Ah, look at my poor Pokemon. They took such a beating. Alright, normally wouldn't do this at this point, but considering what we're going to be up against soon, I want to make sure our Pokemon are good and healthy. So wake up. And same to you, Squeaks. Wake up. And let's heal these guys up. Squeaks, you can take a soda pop. And then Sun will take a potion. Just want to make sure we're good and healthy for what we could potentially see here. Just once a week, a Pokemon comes to the water's edge. I wanted to see that Pokemon. So yeah, if you come to the bottom of Union Cave every Friday, look what's on the water. So yeah, normally you'd be able to encounter Lapras in this area. It's the only area in all of Johto that you're able to encounter Lapras. And that thing could be a solid Pokemon for your team at this point. Just such a strong Pokemon, excellent bulk, being water and ice is so flippin' useful. It's a great time. Noctowl, go away. I appreciate the experience you're giving me, but go away. Also, Sparkle's learning Swagger. We're not going to learn that. It is an interesting attack, but one that I don't really feel like using, especially in a Nuzlocke run. Yep, I just wanted to... These freaking encounters are gonna be the death of me. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to challenge this probably Lapras to a battle. And we're probably not going to capture this thing, just given that this is an area that we have previously. This is an area we previously went and caught one of our Pokemon, specifically a Stunky. But I thought it'd be nice just to challenge this Pokemon and see what it is. Given that noise, I think that is a Wigglytuff. Okay, I'm definitely glad I'm not going to catch this thing, because we already have a Jigglypuff, and we already have the means to evolve it, so it'd be kind of redundant here. But yep, normally you're able to catch Lapras down here. It's definitely a nice little addition to your team should you want to catch it. So I'm just going to try to take this thing out. Ow, how dare you! Oh yeah, that definitely is pretty fun. Wigglytuff is always one of my favorite Mystery Dungeon characters. He's just a big goofball. And none of the characters in the game can ever tell if he's being serious or just joking around with how he is. Just such a fun character. Alright, Charlotte's asleep. It's a shame she really doesn't have a lot of good opportunities to shine in a lot of the battles at the moment. Especially given that she's probably not going to be with the team for very much longer. But, you know, I'm at least glad that we've gotten a chance to show off Charlotte in a few battles. Oh, come on. I know this thing has a lot of HP, but really? Come on. This thing is defense curling too, so I guess that makes sense. There. It's over. It's done. We never have to come back here ever again. Using my escape rope, because I do not care about getting in another battle in this place. We're out. So yeah, that's everything that can be done in Union Cave by this point of the game. And we are very much over time right now, so we are going to call it here. So yeah, made some good progress into our surfing grand tour of the Johto region. And by the next session, we will continue where things left off by heading to Azalea Town. And then we will get to see all the things we can do with surf there, as well as some of the areas around Goldenrod, before our path eventually takes us back to Olivine City, so that we continue the story. So thank you for accompanying me in this session, and next time we'll be continuing the Surfing Grand Tour. Until next time, have a good day and take care.